these people, all these people that have been issued these paperwork and these type of permits are going to find themselves that they're actually going to realize they have absolutely no status because it was issued erroneously, illegally. Imagine if the mayor of a city told the chief of police that they were no longer going to enforce DUIs. But the patrol officer had to stop you and pull you over for DUI, identify you as drunk, and then let you go. Well, that seems ridiculous, doesn't it? Well, that's why is it any different at the federal level when it comes to immigration law?
All right, guys, happy Wednesday to you. I'm about to break down the border for you with our guest, Victor Avila, brand new movie out called Border Invasion, a Crisis, an American Crisis. It's on Salem now. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a second. Victor has spent decades down on the border, and he's going to give us an insight that I don't think you're going to get anywhere else. And I learned a lot. I loved our conversation. I'm going to share it with you in just a second. Couple quick things that are going on. As I mentioned, inflation clocked in this morning. I don't think the Fed was really happy. Comes in higher than expected. Prices rose 3.5%. They were looking at 3.2. All I know is that all the stuff that we like is still costing too much. Politically speaking, this is bad news if you're Joe Biden and his team. They've been fighting this narrative forever. Well, guess what? It's still true. We've known it. You and I have known it. Most Americans who go to the grocery store who have eyes actually know this. But now the statistics bear it out. Things are still expensive. They're back going up. And why this matters is I think the Fed is going to do more of its interest rate thing, keep those things high. That's not good for them. They need unemployment to go back up. Again, not good for them. But keep an eye on that. I think this is going to be a problem for Joe Biden and his campaign as we head into the summer months. This is when people are making their minds up who they're voting for. And I've always said, this is a gut issue. If people don't think things are getting better in the economy, you can't tell them otherwise by shoving them a bunch of government statistics in their face. And the Biden administration has been trying to tell us forever, oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Well, guess what? We were confirmed again this morning that our suspicions were right. Inflation is on the rise, but it's not just that number. You and I both know it's core inflation. Okay. I do want to show you a couple things though. Abortion, big issue in Arizona. The court yesterday reverted back to an 1864 law. We're going to break that down later in the week, why this thing matters. But I don't think this is good news. From a pro-life standpoint, good news. Politically, bad news. I want to tell you about two things that I think are important. The other day I mentioned in Ohio, they informed the Biden campaign, hey, your convention's happening too late. You might not make the Ohio ballot. Then they just got word that the Alabama ballot is a problem. The Secretary of State let them know that it has come to their attention. The Democratic National Convention is currently scheduled to convene on August 19th, which is after the state of Alabama's statutory deadline for political parties to provide a certificate of nomination. Same thing's happening in Ohio. The Biden campaign responding, Joe Biden will be on the ballot in all 50 states. Well, guess what? Not if the state doesn't do it because you didn't comply, dum-dums. And this is going to be a big problem for them. Now, they might not win Alabama, but they certainly aren't going to win Ohio now. This is a problem for them, and just wishing that it's going to happen isn't going to fix it. This is bad staff work. And for all the talk about how great they're doing, it shouldn't be just overlooked that this is a big thing. I want to tell you about a big interview that the president did yesterday. He said the reason that he was running his legacy is because of the following. Take a look at this.
Did you spend a lot of time thinking about what your legacy would look like?
Well, I hope the legacy is that I kept my word, that I said that the reason I was running was to help change the life of ordinary people and reduce the prospect of war. And because of Vietnam.
All right, Joe, mission accomplished. You won Vietnam. It's over. Way to go, buddy. Now let's just worry about everything else that's going on. Vietnam. That just tells you where we're at right now. All right. As I mentioned, a big breakdown of the border like you've never seen about to come your way with Victor Avila. He is a member of Veterans for America First. He is a former Homeland Security Special Agent. He's an ICE Special Agent. He got targeted by the cartels. This is a guy who's lived his life on the border, knows exactly what's going to happen. He's going to break it down for us like never before. Before I do that, I want to get to two of our sponsors who help keep this show free, and it's not subject to inflation. All right, if you are the owner of a business or you run the business's finances, then listen up because I've got a special offer for you. that's going to put money in your pocket. But beyond that, it's going to make your life so much better. If you go to ramp.com/Spicer, you can help organize your business in a way that you've never been able to do it. Ramp gives your finance team control and insight into how your company and its employees are spending money. You can issue cards to them. You can put caps on it. You can categorize the money. It creates an amazing amount of efficiency. It'll save you time and money. When you go to ramp.com/Spicer, you will make sure that in real time, your company's finances are organized and efficiently set out. You can put caps on employees, what they can do, what they can't do, how they can spend their money. Trust me when I say it's going to save you a ton of time and money. One of our recent guests came on and heard me promoting Ramp and said that they switched to Ramp and it made their company a lot more efficient and saved them a ton of money when it came to their expenses. But here's the kicker. If you are a business owner or the person in charge of expenses and you go to ramp.com/Spicer, just for checking it out, you're going to get $250 cash in your pocket. Go to ramp.com/Spicer. You get $250 just for checking out Ramp. Try it now. All right, animal lovers, you've heard me say this before, but you got to go to deltarescue.org to check out the great work that my friend Leo Grillo has been doing at Delta Rescue. Leo has made it a lifelong mission to make Delta Rescue a no-kill sanctuary for life. What does that mean? It means this isn't a shelter. They're not there for temporary. They can go there and live forever to get the veterinary care, the support, the nutritional needs for life because of the work that Leo Grillo has done. It all started when he rescued one Doberman and now has turned it into a lifelong mission. But here's the thing. Delta Rescue, and as I said, if you go to deltarescue.org, check out the videos. Unbelievably compelling if you're an animal lover, and you can see the great work that they do. But it all relies on help from people like me and you. Every contribution is important and it helps. $5, $10, $15, $100, $1,000, a recurring donation. It all allows the work that Leo Grillo has done at Delta Rescue to continue. Horses, dogs, cats, you name it. But if you go on there, do me one more favor. Check out the estate planning gift and see if you're an animal lover, if you can make Delta Rescue part of your estate to make this a lifelong, enduring mission. Help Leo do what he's done so greatly for decades to come. Thank you. Victor, thanks for joining us. Congratulations on the new documentary.
Thank you, Sean. Great to be with you.
So let me ask you this. Let's just start maybe with that. Why did you guys, why did you want to do this and what do you hope people get out of it?
Well, Sean, as a retired special agent with Homeland Security investigations under ICE, this is what I've been doing all my life. And when I had the opportunity to team up with Veterans for America First or Veterans for Trump, it was a no-brainer to continue to educate and really show the American people what is actually happening at the border. Believe it or not, Sean, as much as we talk about it, as much as I travel throughout the country, people still really don't understand the dynamics of the border and what it actually means when an illegal alien comes in. But we're going beyond illegal immigration. We're talking about national security. We're talking about the impact on the economy. We're talking about crime, the healthcare system, the school systems in our country. And more people are realizing the hard way, unfortunately, because it's hitting their doorstep as we speak.
So you mentioned, I will admit to a little bit of the confusion myself. So I'll say it maybe on behalf of some of the viewers, because a lot of them probably know more than I do on this. But walk me through just what is the difference between, say, CBP, the Customs and Border Patrol folks, and the Homeland Security, Immigration and Customs folks? Like, who does exactly what?
That's a great question, Sean, and I'm glad you asked it. Because
thank you. You know, Victor, I appreciate that. I don't feel as dumb now because I was like, I thought you were going to be like, hey, dum-dum, here's... No. Because can I just say why? I think, and I want you to explain this because even more so, since you thought it was such a great question, let me dive down. I think Democrats do a great job of trying to obfuscate this issue. It's like we have an immigration problem, and there's immigration, and then there's border security. I think they're very, very different. I think Democrats and the folks on the left try to make them one. But you've got these two organizations, CBP, Customs Patrol, and ICE. What do they do that's different from each other?
And I'll say off the bat, I agree with you 100%. That is two separate issues that the left have commingled together, especially illegal immigration with legal immigration. But Customs and Border Protection, CBP, the best way I could tell you is think of them as a patrol officer. They're interdictors. They interdict at the border ICE, the special agents with ICE, criminal investigators, which is now called Homeland Security Investigations, are the detectives. They're the ones that get called out to conduct the investigations, to further those investigations, and anything that has a nexus to our border when it comes to smuggling of humans, drugs, cartels, money laundering, commercial fraud, and anything that has a threat to our homeland is what the criminal investigators do. That's what I did. And so we worked along with CBP, both the Border Patrol in green and the CBP Customs at the ports of entry on a daily basis, expanding these investigations and trying to hold these people accountable, which, by the way, is not how it's not really happening right now, because most of these laws are not being enforced by the Biden administration. They're not allowing the Border Patrol, first of all, to interdict like they used to, and second of all, to pass on these cases to the criminal investigators and the prosecutor. Remember, this all goes hand in hand. It's not, I know we talk a lot about Border Patrol. It's not just them. We're talking about the Department of Justice, the U.S. Attorney's Office, that are failing to prosecute these cases.
All right, so let's just walk through some scenarios, because I want to get smart on this, and I think it's helpful for people to. I'm in Mexico, and I want to come into the United States. Give me the sort of current options, if you will, for how not, but I want you to talk about legal, illegal. What if you're a person that's in Mexico and you say, I want to get into the United States? Lay me out my options.
So let me give you a scenario. Let's say it's a Chinese national, and a Chinese national made its way from China to Mexico because they know that being in Mexico is basically as being in the U.S. Why? Because Mexico is allowing them. Mexico, the country, the government is allowing these individuals, even though they're illegally present in their country as well, allowing them to stay and giving them these quasi visas for a certain amount of days to make their way to our border. So having said that,
Do you realize how stupid that sounds? And Mexico's like, listen, you can come into our country illegally, but only if you stay a few days to go into another country illegally. Got it?
That's one of the biggest issues I have with Mexico right now. And I worked there at the U.S. Embassy. I was stationed there for a couple of years. And let me tell you, it's the corruption, Sean. It's the corruption, the Mexican Immigration Service, the Mexican officials at every level, especially the state and locals who you start dealing with as soon as you guys get closer to the border. But these individuals, whether you come from China, Africa, or even a Mexican national, will have to pay the cartel. And the cartel, you don't know the difference whether it's he's wearing an immigration uniform or not. They're all cartel here, and they have to pay this fee. And these fees are very different. The Chinese national is going to pay a greater amount of money than it is a Central American. And they will have to pay in order to gain access to come closer to our border, whether it's Arizona, Texas, doesn't matter. They don't care. The cartels will get their money. So they pay. They get bribed. They get extorted. The women get raped. All these horrific things happen to them. So then they're on the other side of El Paso, Texas, let's say in Ciudad Juarez, and they're waiting and waiting. Right now, the way it's been going on for the last 3 years is they literally walk up to a certain part of the end of the wall there, or a gate in the wall that is open, and they turn themselves in to Border Patrol. As a matter of fact, the illegals in Eagle Pass and everywhere are seeking green uniforms now, which is the most ironic thing to me in my life. They used to run from Border Patrol. Now they seek Border Patrol because they know that Border Patrol has been given the authority to grant them entry into the United States. So now the Border Patrol takes possession of this person.
Wait, stop. So, hold on. Just explain this to me a second. This gate that exists, is this a legal point of entry, or is this a hole in the wall?
This is the wall, and this is the wall that was built. And this is in El Paso. It actually was the Bush Wall, believe it or not. But they built these gates within the wall, these official gates, huge doors, because Border Patrol needs access, right, to get one side to the other.
Sure.
Border Patrol patrols both sides of the border. A lot of people think that the other side of the wall is Mexico. It's not. The wall is on the United States, and even on the other side, which in this case is the barrier, is the Rio Grande. And so Border Patrol patrols both sides of that wall. And right now, the Biden administration has opened these gates.
So wait. Again, Victor, I apologize, but I want people to understand this. My understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is on the Texas border, there are 28 legal points of entry where there's an official door with a guy or a woman that's sitting there and saying, here's the welcome to the United States. If you're a citizen or whatever, you show your passport, you come through. This is not that. That is literally like a dog door, if you would, or something like this. This is not. This is so that
the ports of entry.
Right. So this and the Biden administration has said, open those doors, open the back door to the garage, open the side door. This isn't your front door. This is a random door that CBP would use should they have to go back and forth, but not meant to be a legal point of entry.
No, it defeats the purpose of the wall, right? The wall works when it's implemented.
But I just want people to understand that door, from what you're saying, they chose to open. For 4 years, it was closed with a key or whatever. And they said, go open the door, and then we're going to make that a legal point of entry. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. And as a matter of fact, Sean, some of these gates have been welded open. That means that it's open all the time, 24/7. It's welded open. They opened it and welded to keep it open. And this is completely illegal. But I'm going to get to the port of entry because all of this is 100% illegal. I want people to understand that the Biden administration, with their CBP1 app, with the parole paperwork that they're giving, I used to give out that paperwork. I had that authorization as a special agent to give, is completely illegal. They're manipulating and using our existing programs that were meant to be used for certain very specific reasons to allow one person in, let alone millions, with the parole system, with the asylum criteria and all that. So this is in between the ports of entry. Millions are coming in, but hundreds of thousands, possibly millions, are also coming in through the legal port of entry that the Biden administration considers these illegals to now be legal because they gave them this paperwork in Mexico. They literally walk across the pedestrian lane where the U.S. Customs inspector is there. They show them their yellow envelope. They filled out their information on CBP1 app with whatever information they wanted. No one is vetting this information. And they walk in, they take them to the facility. And here's the word, the processing. You've heard this a lot. I want people to understand that these facilities that Border Patrol takes them to is an extension of the Border Patrol station. It's not ICE. It's still Border Patrol custody because they don't fit in the regular station. They're too small. So they built these facilities to take these thousands of illegals, process them. And this is the process. They come up to a computer. There's either a Border Patrol agent or a processing agent. That's not even an agent. They hire these people just for the sole purpose of processing these individuals. I'll tell you what the process is. They come up, they put up their fingerprints on the machine. They do a quick database check, the U.S. checks that we have, and that's it. They take their picture.
But the background check is based on you walk up and say, my name is Victor Smith. And they go, wow, there's no Victor Smith in the system. You must be a good guy.
That's it. Even though, let me tell you, I talk to border agents all the time. They're looking at this guy with tattoos of Venezuelan gang, El Tren de Aragua, and they're like, wait a minute, this guy, I don't care if he comes back clean and negative on these database checks. I need to go back and actually make some phone calls, contact the consulate. This is what we used to do. I used to vet people all the time. You can't do it in a 3-minute interview, especially when the information that you're putting in the system is what the illegal alien is giving you. They have no ID. And
that's no ID, right?
No ID. It's absurd. So now this person allowed in with a notice to appear. They call it an NTA. Different. Believe me, it gets complex, but there's a lot of paperwork, different avenues that some people are being allowed in. Some are being put on with a ankle bracelet, many fashions. Nevertheless, they're allowed in and put on a bus or on an airplane without an ID. One of my biggest pet peeves is illegals are boarding airplanes without identification that you and I can't do, Sean. But they can. They're illegal. If you go to the airport in El Paso, San Antonio, McAllen, they have their own designated lines. That's how many illegals there are in these airports.
I pay for Clear.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's like they vet you and they go, no. But if you want to go to the non-Clear line, it's actually shorter. You just show up.
It is infuriating because I've flown with them many times. Some of these airplanes on these flights that I've been, I'd say about 20 to 25% sometimes is illegal aliens on the airplane. And a lot of them are NGOs that are escorting these illegals to their final destination, especially when it comes to children.
In these times of economic uncertainty, are you looking for a way to diversify? I know I was. And so I called my friends at Bishop Gold, 844-984-1616, or go to bishopgoldgroup.com/Sean and have a conversation with them about how to secure your financial future using precious metals. Now, I did that. Now, so you may be at home right now and say, I've got an old 401k, an IRA, or I'm just looking to expand my portfolio. I picked up the phone, I called them, and I explained to them my financial situation, what I was looking into, and they created a mix that would work for me. You should do the same. These are the people that I trust with my money. I invested my money with Bishop Gold Group because they're full of integrity and transparency. They can tell you exactly how the system works, how you can hold it, how they can hold it, how you liquidate it in times of need. So if you've got that old 401k, you've got that old IRA, or you're sitting back right now concerned about the future and thinking, I need to diversify, call Bishop Gold Group, 844-984-1616, or go to bishopgoldgroup.com/Sean to begin your financial journey with precious metals. And by the way, you get a free gift because you're coming through me. So I always use the word illegal because, and I had Chad Wolf, former acting secretary, on just some time ago. And he said, hey, look, in U.S. law, if you come into this country illegal, the definition under U.S. law is illegal alien. And I want to get to this in a moment with you about these holes in the wall. But I mean, you've kind of answered it about these gates and they're being welded open. But I'm going to ask you a question that I think is a lot of people might get upset with. But I use the word illegal because I view it like if you come into my house without me inviting you or you bust down the door, you're in my house illegally, right? You're trespassing. If I allow you into the house, you're not there illegally, right? And if based on what you described, I go, okay, if I walk up to your border and a gentleman in a green Border Patrol uniform invites me in, says, come on in, here's the form, fill this out, wait over there for a bus. Are you really here illegally? I mean, we use that word, I think rightly so in many cases, but if Biden is inviting them in, then they're not here illegally, are they?
Disagree. They're 100% still illegal. And
why?
I'll tell you
okay.
why.
So if you make that, like, I want you to tell me if I'm listening to the show right now and I said, what did I do wrong? I walked up to your fence, you opened the door for me, you handed me a processing thing, told me to go sit over there, and what did you call it? An NTA, notice to appear. What did I do wrong?
It's not that they're illegal. It's what the government is doing wrong.
But that's my point. The government, Biden administration is doing something wrong.
Absolutely. The process is an illegal process. And I'll give you a quick example, the parole process. There's several parole paperwork issues that you could give to a certain individual. I used to give it a lot for confidential informants, an illegal alien that was a confidential informant. It's for law enforcement purposes. I used to issue that parole. There's the humanitarian parole, which is the one that they're exploiting. But the humanitarian parole is a very, very narrow and one-time use for very specific reasons. Maybe there's a death in the family or someone is dying at a hospital, an accident, whatever. It's not because you're going to enter the country illegally and then roam around the country. So these people, all these people that have been issued these paperwork and these type of permits are going to find themselves that they're actually going to realize they have absolutely no status because it was issued erroneously, illegally. It's like me when I did a search warrant. If I did an illegal search warrant, anything that I grabbed from that house is the food of the poisonous tree. It wouldn't be admissible. It didn't matter if it was good evidence or not. This is exactly what's happening here. The premise is already illegal to begin with, so it nullifies what the Biden administration, whether it calls them legal or illegal. And by the way, illegal alien is the legal term in the Immigration Nationality Act book that I have behind me here. That hasn't changed at all. The laws haven't changed, Sean. I want people to understand nothing has changed other than the policies of this administration of what they have decided what to enforce and not enforce. And in this case, basically ignoring all immigration law, ignoring many other aspects of immigration, child endangerment, human trafficking, many, many other issues that we're seeing on a daily basis, all the way until the final destination in New York or North Carolina or Denver.
So when this administration says there's nothing that we can do, not only you tell me, is that true or false? Number one. Number two, what have they done to move in the opposite direction?
It's false that they could do nothing. It's completely a completely lie to the American people. They have the sole authority just to go back and give Border Patrol the authority to enforce. And when I'm talking about enforce, I'm talking about now. The difference is if the law was being implemented and followed, that individual would be arrested and charged with 8 USC 1325. It's illegal to come into the country illegally. They call it EWI, entry without inspection, and you would get prosecuted. And the very first time you have no criminal history, you're going to go to prison for 2 to 6 months. And the second time is up to 2 years. And so that is not being enforced. That is the biggest issue right here that we have lost. And I give this comparison. Imagine if the mayor of a city told the chief of police that they were no longer going to enforce DUIs. But the patrol officer had to stop you and pull you over for DUI, identify you as drunk, and then let you go. Well, that seems ridiculous, doesn't it? Well, why is that any different at the federal level when it comes to immigration law? And that we could get into ideology and other reasons why they're allowing them in.
So just walk me through, if I'm prior to this administration, I'm illegal, I'm in Mexico from whatever country, I approach the border and I see a hole because like the doors were shut then, the gates were shut, right? But if there was a hole and I tried to go through it, what could the Border Patrol agent at that point do? Could they say, go back, do not come through this hole? Could they stand in front of it and block them from coming in?
So two different scenarios. Usually the Border Patrol in the old days, they have to take possession. If you already hit the U.S., you're illegally present in the U.S., they take possession of you and arrest you. Very few times do they actually repel because we don't know who that individual is. And this is part of the big problem. It might be a terrorist. So we need to grab them, run them through the system and find out who this individual is, whether he came through a hole, whether he was smuggled. We haven't even touched about the people that are being smuggled that are avoiding detection altogether, that are being introduced into the country by the cartel in the back of a tractor trailer and you name it, in any way they can come in. Those people are being placed in stash houses. In El Paso, there was 270 stash houses, Sean. In Laredo, there's hundreds of stash houses as well of human beings, not of drugs, but of human beings where they stash them, hold them, and then wait for them to be distributed. And it sounds horrible because they treat human beings like the chair that I'm sitting on. It's a commodity for them. And so that's the way it's supposed to be. The person comes in illegally. They're detected in the brush, in the desert, in the water, wherever they're detected and apprehended and then processed. Now, they used to say, okay, this guy, we're just going to VR them, a voluntary return. The person accepts it. They sign a paper, go back right here and there. It's over. That happens a lot. Or we're going to prosecute you for 1325 illegal entry. Or there's a lot of different options here that the Border Patrol have. All those options have been taken away from the Border Patrol.
So what's the morale like? If you're down there and you're a Border Patrol agent, you got 10 years in, you thought you were getting in to protect the country, and now you're a welcome wagon.
Demoralization is the word. They had 14 suicides, Sean, of Border Patrol agents last year. And it is overwhelming. Any job, imagine any job that you had that your employer would tell you, strip you of your authority and the scope of your employment and your duties and said, oh no, by the way, you're not going to do that, but you're going to do this instead. And this new duty is actually illegal and you have actually no choice. A lot of people say, well, why don't the Border Patrol agents just quit? Listen, these people have to feed their families. They have insurance. It's complicated, right? But it is demoralization. As a matter of fact, I'll say what I'm doing. I'm going to Eagle Pass later today. And on Friday, we're going to do just that. We're going to have a law enforcement and military appreciation day down inside Shelby Park in Eagle Pass, Texas. And we're going to feed them barbecue and beer. It was just to give back, to have them relax, come in one day and just kind of, take a deep breath because we understand the enormous pressure that they're under this administration. It's hard enough with the job as it is, the way it was before. And then now with the way the Biden administration have forced them to be and do, is very demoralizing. It's costing them their lives. It's costing a lot of agents to quit. A lot of issues, a lot of internal issues within the Border Patrol.
So let's go to my whole example, because I keep seeing these. I saw one on Fox, 60 Minutes had one where cartels have cut holes in the border wire and people then sneak under the wire, come in. Is that any different than the gate being open in terms of how they're processed or who's actually coming in through those points of entry?
Yes, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, I was there. I've seen those. That's in the area between Sunland Park, New Mexico, and El Paso, Texas. Is like this tri-state area there. But these holes that you're talking about, these very nicely cut squares, by the way, they're very heavy. This is steel, and they have these special torches. They go up and cut them, and that's sneaking into the country. That's a very big difference between coming in and turning yourself in to the Border Patrol through the open gate. These people don't want to be detected, and especially in that part of far west Texas and southern New Mexico, where it's a lot of cartel land and a lot of cartel presence there. These people are being snuck into the country through these holes. And when you go drive by there, Sean, it's incredible because you see all the patches. So they cut them up, and then the next day, the Border Patrol with the contractors will come over and re-weld them, because they literally open them and it falls there on the dirt, and they pick them up and re-weld them, and you see all hundreds of patches throughout that wall. But why? Why is it happening? Because the Border Patrol agents are not allowed to be on the wall patrolling, because they're doing hospital watch, they're doing transportation, they're doing all these other non-duties of what they're supposed to do instead of being there patrolling, so no one would actually cut the fence in the first place.
But in terms of who's coming through that hole versus going down further, maybe through one of those welded open gates and presenting themselves, should we be more worried about those folks, the people that are coming in through those cartel cut holes?
Absolutely. These people are criminals, possible cartel members, possible linked to terrorism. Why wouldn't you just come in through the open gate? You could do it right now. Why? And if I was an illegal alien and I had no criminal history, I would just walk in. Why then avoid detection? Because these people are now linked to nefarious individuals or groups, and especially Venezuelans and many others that we could talk about, that are now trying to introduce themselves into the country completely undetected, where we will really not know anywhere about their intentions or where they're going to live and what city they're coming to. And we're at 2 million known gotaways. So here's the thing, Sean. Border Patrol has seen almost 2 million of these individuals on a camera, on a sensor. They've seen them. They've counted them, but nobody's there to go get them. And so we're almost at 2 million of those known gotaways. Imagine the unknown gotaways.
2 million. Just think about, do you realize that I'm from Rhode Island, right? There's like 1 million people there, Delaware, Montana, South Dakota, I mean, like that's more than multiple states populations are coming into this country as gotaways that we have no record of. And what happens to these people? They just disappear into the ether?
Well, the problem is they do disappear into the communities, but not actually disappear. They're at the grocery store with you. They're at the gas station with you. They're going to come up and knock on your door and try to, mow your lawn, whatever. The thing is that they're in your communities. And the reason we're finding out is the bad way is because of the crimes a lot of them commit against U.S. citizens, a rape, a murder, many other property crimes. I'm dealing with I was in Iowa last week, and Des Moines, Iowa, and there's cartel presence all of a sudden in Des Moines, Iowa. And the crime rate has gone through the roof. Why? Because a lot of the illegal immigration has arrived there, and it brought crime. It brought all the issues attached to illegal immigration. And now all of a sudden the police there, the sheriffs, the police chiefs are like, what in the world is going on? We still have the same number of police. We don't have any more resources, but yet we have an increase of crime, which we already had to begin with in our own country. We have a big problem with crime to begin with. Now you're adding into that formula people from all over the world who are coming here and committing crimes. And I'm the first one to tell you, Sean, I know not everybody commits crimes. Not every illegal comes and commits additional crimes, but we have one too many that actually are, and they're violent crimes. I mean, if the Laken Riley case is not enough, apparently it doesn't shake up the left or the Biden administration. They obviously didn't care But there's too many Lake and Rileys. I've talked to too many family members that have lost their loved ones at the hands of an illegal alien, thousands of them, that they never get the attention. But when you become a victim at the hands of an illegal alien, I tell people that's too late. That
Right.
you found out the hard way. We need to do something now. So what do? We continue to give the pressure and put on the pressure. And I was watching the news earlier this morning where apparently Biden's going to try to do something about it. I mean, Mayorkas, the impeached Secretary of Homeland Security, is on the Hill as you and I speak, asking for more money, but not to secure the border, Sean, but to actually facilitate the movement of the people. Which, by the way, it's us, it's them, it's the U.S. administration, the Biden administration, doing this purposefully, especially through the NGOs, the UN, the State Department, many avenues, FEMA, and all the way down to the NGOs, and reimbursing them and giving them millions, even billions with a B, to facilitate. I've never seen such a well-oiled machine in the 20 years that I worked in the federal government. You know, the federal government is not very good at doing a lot of things, but they're actually really good at doing this. When it comes to illicit activity, man, they got this down, not just here at the border, all the way down to Central America and South America.
Why are we flying people into the country? What the Biden administration has now been flying thousands of people in from Central America. Why would we have to do that?
Because one is they don't want to count them. And so you have seen the numbers drop in the last couple of months. And I'll go a little bit into that as to why. One of the reasons is because they're flying. I think the number is up to more than 350,000 individuals. Almost over 130,000 Haitians alone from Haiti. And, people think, oh, they're going to come in a boat. Forget the boat. They are flying them in directly. And people from China, Africa, yes, they're flying in directly. And you think, well, where was the Border Patrol agent processing them in their country? Well, there is no processing. They have already only taken the information under the CBP1 app in their home country, Sean, and taken it at face value and said, okay, you're good to go. You're flying into Chicago. You're flying to DFW. And it's a grave concern for our national security and public safety. Now, what was the other, the illegals coming in from Mexico? Here's the big difference that I just learned the other day from one of my sources. The numbers dropped. And why did they drop? Well, first of all, the Biden administration made a deal with the Mexican administration. Mexico has a huge presidential election this June. And they made a deal that they didn't share with us, but I could tell you what I've been seeing on the ground is that they said, help me help you, and slow down the traffic of illegals coming in, because the Biden administration obviously is being hurt by it, but so is Mexico. And so they kind of made a deal saying, we're going to slow this traffic down. The cartel is kind of going along with it right now, but now I'm seeing them saying enough is enough. And they're sending people, as we speak, a lot of it going to El Paso, Texas. But Mexico is taking the people, for example, in the border town of Juarez on the other side of El Paso, but not deporting them, sending them back to Mexico City or to Tapachula, southern Mexico. And this is crazy. Why don't you just put them on the plane and deport them back to their home country? No, they're sending them back to their own country so they can then gather up again, buy more time, and then eventually make their way back here, maybe after the election.
Unreal. Let me ask you about the fentanyl, because I know that's affecting so many communities. How does that get in? Is it actually like a human is using it as a mule and smuggling in? Is it coming through the points of entry to those gates, or is that what's going through the holes?
Any which way you can think of it, at the port of entry, within the port of entries, body carriers, vehicles, tractor trailers. The difference between, I worked a lot on narcotics and cocaine and marijuana, and these are bulky drugs. And the difference between these pills, most of them are coming, the fentanyl is coming either in powder form or a counterfeit pill. And these counterfeit pills, according to the DEA, 7 out of 10 of these counterfeit pills contain a deadly dose of fentanyl or xylazine in it already. And they look exactly like Adderall. They look exactly like Xanax or Oxycontin and these M30s. And so they're easily manipulated into very different shapes and forms. So if you can think about it, Sean, the cartel has already done it and introduced it into the country. And you're seeing a large number of seizures of this fentanyl. And a lot of people, I applaud them. And a lot of people say, oh, look, the Biden administration is doing a good job in seizing this. Well, I applaud and I welcome the seizures of these drugs. However, let me tell you the reality. And this is coming from someone that worked these narcotics on the border. When the seizures go up, especially in large volumes, that means that I'm going to say it very bluntly, our asses are being handed to us, Sean. That means that millions and millions of drugs and pills, and the other drugs are still coming in, are pouring in. And a lot of people don't see that correlation between the high seizures and versus the low seizures. When the seizures drop, that means that there's actually a pretty good control of what's coming in. When the seizures go up, you would think, well, we're doing a really good job in stopping it. No, it's the opposite. That means that it's actually pouring in. We might be tapping into 10, 15% of what's actually hitting our streets.
This is on American soil from these bastards in Mexico with their cohorts in China. So they're sending a weapon system, and they're using this weapon system. They're firing it through all these illegals that are invading our country. Right? That's kind of the way to bring it in. The actual, you know, the gun, so to speak, or the weapon system, so to speak. And then what they do is they shoot this thing called fentanyl out into the streets of America. And now we have casualties. We have killed in action, and we have tens. Actually, it's probably in the hundreds of thousands of wounded in action in just the last couple of years alone from fentanyl.
I know that you mentioned you were down in Eagle Pass. Governor Abbott's done some stuff in that park, Shelby Park, I guess it is. What are we doing right, and what could Congress be doing more of to help solve this? Or can they? Or is this just a decision because the administration has done the things that you mentioned? It's like until you get the White House back, your hands are really tied.
Unfortunately, that might be the truth. I welcome what Texas has done with the razor wire and the containers and the buoys and everything else. But I'm here to tell you the truth. Has it stopped anybody from coming into the country illegally? No. What it's done is stop him from coming in there in that specific area, which at least in the Shelby area, it was a welcoming center, really what it was. And so Governor Abbott got rid of all that and said, listen, at least you're not going to use Texas and this area to do that. Go do it somewhere else. Well, they are going to somewhere else. They're going around Quemado and other areas there next to Eagle Pass. They're using the Kickapoo Indian Reservation to come through there. And so it hasn't really stopped. It slowed it down? Absolutely. But I welcome razor wire. I welcome barriers. I welcome walls. But it's the policy ultimately and the enforcement behind it that's going to make the difference. And this administration doesn't want to do that.
So what can and should, I mean, Republicans, the only ones who actually are doing anything, only control the House barely. What can they and should they be doing if they want to help this effort?
A lot of people think that it's legislation. We really don't need legislation. We have incredible laws, and we have the U.S. Constitution already, and it's the lack of that enforcement. But if you were going to go to the legislative route, and believe me, it's not the Senate bill that they're trying to propose that's going to make the difference. I'm talking about enhancing what is already in the books. That I welcome to strengthen the asylum criteria, to strengthen the parole system, to strengthen Title VIII of the code. That I welcome, but we don't need new legislation to enforce the laws. We already have it, and it's the lack of I don't know what's on the Republican side, what's holding them back and continuing to put the pressure on this administration, because they're seeing it in the impacts of the fields that I told you about in this country. And it's affecting their districts. And I don't know what else is it going to take for them to kind of, get the light switch to go on.
Yeah, I preach on that one because I feel like I've said this almost incessantly, that this is the hill to die on. This is the one that every community, you don't have to explain this to voters. They get it. They see it every single day. Victor, let me ask you this. So you guys made this documentary, Border Invasion, American Crisis. First, where can people see it?
You go to salemnow.com and check it out there. You're going to get a very good briefing from this film. General Flynn is on there, myself and others. And we really are on the ground there in Eagle Pass, and we will show you the pictures. We would do the breakdown, kind of a little bit of what we did today. And so if you had no idea what it is and what's going on, this would give you a very good perspective of what to go on and say, okay, I get it. I see what's going on and why this administration is doing this. We know it's probably for political reasons, votes, counting them in the census and getting representation, all the above, except what? Except public safety and national security, which is what the American people demand.
That's right. All right, folks. Again, the name of the movie is Border Invasion. It's got General Mike Flynn in it, Victor, obviously, himself. But I think as we head towards this election, having a good understanding of what's at stake and how to push back against these false narratives of the Biden administration, this is a great way to get armed with the facts. So, Victor, thank you guys for doing this. Thanks to Salem for bringing it out. Again, folks, please tune in. We've got a great rest of the week headed your way. A lot of big issues obviously going on in Capitol Hill, as I said at the top of the show. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button on YouTube and Rumble, Apple, and Spotify. It always helps. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Sean Spicer Show. Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.